Our guest speaker and our main honoree this evening is Father Gregory Boyle of the Society of Jesus, who comes all the way from California to be here tonight. The story is famous, but the reality is he too is avoiding the rapture. He knew what close to reality. I stand here instead of our president, Father McShane, who, believe it or not, is in California. You know, Father McShane, he always wants to be ahead of the crowd and to experience everything for the first time. He's at Santa Clara at the university there for a board meeting, and we'll be returning later this evening. So let's keep all these travelers in our prayers. It is indeed a family celebration tonight, one that we look forward to each year, as we gather those whose stories are worthy of repeating and whose lives are worthy of imitation. But Father Boyle is an exceptional story, and you'll hear it shortly as Dean Harrington introduces him when we get to that point in the program. But in his book, which I think many of you have seen here tonight, and which certainly is available after our program, Tattoos on the Heart, the Power of Boundless Compassion. There's a short quote I want to use before we move into our word ceremony. Because the point he makes in this book is truly one that underscores why we gather. It's simply entitled Kinship. And before I share his definition, I ask you to think of how you define the term kinship. How are you connected to each other? Is this a room full of strangers, or is there some connecting of the dots that brings us all together? I was telling Father Greg before he came in tonight, like Father, who was one of 8, I come from a large family, one of 12. You don't always want to be connected. Like somebody said to my father years ago, if you had it to do all over again, would you have 12 kids the second time round? What a terrible way to phrase a question. We all said he waited longer than he should have before he answered it. His response, I'll never forget, he said, yes, we would. Not necessarily the same ones. And yet the dozen plus one who are being honored here tonight know well what Father Greg writes about in terms of what really is kinship in the context of faith. What is kinship in the setting of hope? What is kinship through the true filter of Christian charity and love? And these are his words. He begins by quoting Mother Teresa, who diagnosed the world's ills in this way. We've just, quote, forgotten that we belong to each other. Kinship is what happens to us when we refuse to let that happen. With kinship as the goal, other essential things fall into place, and without it, no justice and no peace. I suspect that were kinship our goal, we would no longer be promoting justice, we would be celebrating it. As you hear the stories tonight of the remarkable individuals about to be honored, understand that each of them, whether they know it or not, has been living that definition of kinship. Their stories are about to be told. And I ask you to hear them in the context of what we celebrate here at Fordham University all week long in Ignatian Week. As Dean Madden writes in his opening letter tonight, the theme for this celebration tonight, awe came upon everyone, compassion beyond judgment, captures the very ideals embodied by the mission of the Graduate School of Religion and Religious Education. He writes, I can think of no better example of the mission of this school to empower students to become competent leaders who serve others with compassion than the service to others that we see in all of our honorees tonight. They are shining examples of commitment to service, boundless energy, and limitless compassion from each varied backgrounds: teaching, ministry, publishing, social service, and the arts.